This is Khalil's very first time in the UK, and we're delighted that ICAHD UK has facilitated that opportunity for him. And so now, Khalil, please come and speak to us about the displacement of the Bedouins from the Negev.
It's really a great pleasure to be here and to share my story and my people's story with you. Thank you. We are talking about the other side of the Palestinians. Jeff drew a very, very clear picture about the process, the strategic, the situation of the people. And now I am taking you to another tour to the unrecognized Bedouin villages, to the south, to the other Palestinian Israeli citizens. So I am one of them, representing them, holding Israeli passport, living in a democratic state, trying to be modern, have even iPhone 6, you see. But there is one thing that I want to say, and I'm going to persuade you today, that I don't want to be modernized. I want to be modernized. I don't want to be urbanized against my will. This is the story of my people. Even that we are living in a democratic state, welcome to the only democracy in the Middle East. So this is the story. I will put the time so you wouldn't need to remind me, like Jeff. So if we look at the unrecognized, this is a picture of that, one of the unrecognized villages. This is the Negev and Naqab. You see a Naqab in art, the circled area. It's a huge area. We are talking about 60% of the state land, a huge area, where most of the Bedouin, all the Bedouin lived in the past, during many, many years and decades, from the 7th century and even before. Israel, when it was, this is a huge area, 2/3 of the state land, and only 10% of the population, of all the population, Arabs and the Jews and Bedouins live in the Negev. It's an empty area. Nobody wants to live in the desert except the Bedouin. So if we look at the very, very fast briefing of the Bedouin life and society and the history, we see that they inhabited the Negev from the 7th century, against all the myths that Israel distribute always that they were nomadic. From the 16th century they started settling down, and we can witness that from the 19th century. We can see stone houses everywhere in the Naqab. In the age of the Nakba, the disaster that our people experienced in 1948 in all Palestine, there were in a Naqab about 90,000 people. Out of those, only 12%, 11,000 people remained, survived the Naqba, the disaster. The rest of our people were expelled to the neighboring Arab countries, like Egypt, Gaza Strip, the West Bank. The West Bank, if you remember, in these days were under the Jordanian control, and Sinai, as we mentioned. Those 12%, 11,000 who remained, who survived, revived and grew, and today they are numbering about 200,000 people. Those 200,000 live in 7 towns that the government pre-planned and located them there, and the rest of our people, about half of the population, live in 46 unrecognized villages, like my village, one thing. Those who remained, who wasn't expelled, Israel in 1948 relocated them, expelled them to a very limited area which is called the Siyaj area. The Siyaj in Arabic is the fence area. Even that there was no physical fence, but people learn exactly and very quickly that it's limited area, that exiting and entering the area need permits, explicit permits from the commander of the area. You know, all the Arabs, including the Bedouin, lived under military rule from 1948 till 1966. During this time, Israel have accomplished the main mission, taking over all the land. We will see the Siyaj soon. This is the Siyaj. If you look at the Negev, this is the Negev, a huge area. It is the southern part of Israel. And the dotted area, or the area here in the middle, this is the Siyaj area, which is only 10% of the Negev lands. The Negev is about 13 million dunams. We use dunams. You can divide them by 4, so you have them in acres, I think, which is 10% of the Negev lands. The people who remain, they were, you can see the arrows here, they were expelled to this area. So we lost everything, especially the most fertile land on this side, where we have the Sharon farm and many others in this area, which is called the Western Negev. The history of the ownership. You know, Bedouins, most of them were illiterate, so they all their culture, their rights, they passed from generation to generation verbally, and inherited the rights in the land from their parents and the grandparents and so on. And the Ottomans and the British mandate never have any problem with the Bedouin. They just respected and honored the traditions and have no dispute with the Bedouin regarding the land. The Bedouin, most of them have no official titles on the land. The only thing that they have is property tax books as a reference to their rights. The very strange thing here is that lands that was sold to Jewish families or to the kibbutzim or mushavim were acknowledged and registered and have no problems. But lands that was sold to another Bedouin families was not. This is the difference. It is a way to Judaize, as Jeff mentioned in many times. There was a committee that established in 1952 by the Justice Minister that recommended to recognize the land issues. And the first government of Rabin in 1970s also tried to do that, and he asked the Bedouin to register their claims, but nobody did with these claims. This is one of the recommendations of the Goldberg Committee. Goldberg Committee was established in 2007, and he recommended to recognize the Bedouins and recognize as much as he can, as the government can, of the unrecognized villages. These recommendations was moved to the Prawer plan, as you hear maybe more about the Prawer plan more than the Goldberg. The Goldberg was the judge of the High Court that just searched and learned the situation and give the government his recommendations. As you can see, no Bedouin land has been approved through the Israeli courts. Nothing. We always lose the court. It's a magic, it's a miracle. By the end of the 1960s, 69, I think, they built the first Bedouin town, which is called Kseyfa. You see, Kseyfa. As Jeff mentioned, They also Hebronized the names. It is Al-Sira. And the big city that is close, but very close to the big city, which is called Bir al-Saba, but they say Bir al-Sheba. And the small Bedouin village was Tel al-Sheba. This is more clear there. So Hebronizing everywhere. It was established. Then we have Rahat and others, and that was the second phase of displacement. If we consider the first displacement as 1948, so now we have another displacement to take the people and put them into the cities. This is the first urbanization process that started. During this year, they have built another 6 towns. So now we have 7 Bedouin towns. The largest is Rahat, with about 50,000 people. And the other, as I mentioned, live in the unrecognized villages. This is the siege area. We are now focusing in the siege area. As you can see, it is 10% of the Negev land. But and here you can see the Bedouin cities. One is Rahat, is the largest one. Here is Laqiya, Hura, Tel-Sheva, that I mentioned. This is the first one. And Negev Shalom. Kseyfa, it was Hebronized also. Arara, they tried to Hebronize this, but people rejected the name. Is Kseyfa, so we have 7. But the 10% is not a 10% really. I was happy in the beginning. I said we have 10% of our population with 10% of the ancestral land, the same proportion. Let's leave the past and live with it. But Israel is Israel, would never change. They are compressing and taking more and more lands everywhere. As you can see here is my neighbor, a huge airport, a military airport, which is called Nevatim Airport. The area here was called Tel al-Malah, the Tell of the Salt, that the people lived here. They expelled all of them to the neighboring city towns that they established, Kseyfa and Arab. And here also with Hura the same, and with Laqiya the same, and Rahat and Negev Shalom and everywhere. So we have many IDPs. All these villages or towns contains internally displaced people. About 85% of the residents of these villages are IDPs. We see also we can notice that the large use and the confiscation of lands. Here is another area of military area, and another area here, and another here. So we see that they are minimizing the space, Judaizing the space everywhere. So the 10% shrink, and we are not talking about less than 5%. And Israel think, no wonder, it's too much. We need to minimize it. You maybe wonder, what are these blue dots here? These are the unrecognized villages. And if you want to see where is my dot, here it is. This is Al-Sira. I live here, so we will see it soon. If you want to try and understand the Israeli policy, I would never understand, but we will try. So the Bedouin are urbanized. We want to urbanize the Bedouin. And if we are urbanizing the Bedouin, there is no agriculture. And if there is no agriculture, there is no need for land. So let's confiscate it, take it for the kibbutzim, mushavim, agriculture, airplanes, roads, infrastructures, everything. The other strategy, which is working very well, creating dispute about the land. And if we have a dispute, we have to go to the court. And going to the court, you know the result. We have mentioned it. We lose because we don't have titles. We are trespassers, and in the best case, we are invaders also. So this is the situation. We have the third phase of displacement that we are talking very loudly in the last few years. The most important one was in Hura Junction demonstration that we have against the private plan. This is the private plan. What the private says, that it puts a new legal frame to solve the problems. call it a Bedouin community and area restricted. Suspension of the constitutional law. It puts tools there for the government to take the land. There is no need to go to the court. Everything is written in the law. So it's crazy. Logistics and people from the academy inside Israel and outside really moved all that. It's unbelievable. Democratic state confiscate the constitutional rights of people. Suspicion of all the current laws. Adoption of administrative orders. Limiting the jurisdiction of existing legal system to change administrative orders. Something similar to the emergency situation that Israel always renewing it from 1948. So what is the Prawer plan was? A Prawer plan, as I mentioned, it was a plan that they created according to the recommendation of the Judge Goldberg committee. They really didn't look at the Prawer, I think the Goldberg, because the Goldberg was much more positive and much more generous with the Bedouin. So they minimized it and tried to create this, to take all the lands, uproot all the families from their lands, about 70,000 families. We will see that in the second one, I think. Regulation and displacement of the Bedouin from their land. The claims and so on will be solved in a very short period of 5 years. 5 years to solve all the problem of the 46 unrecognized villages and concentrate them into the towns that will be established and into the existing 7 towns that we mentioned. This is the area where they want to concentrate all of the Bedouin. It is not all the Bedouin. It is not for the use of all the Bedouin. Here is the Mona, where we have the nuclear center. We have Arad, Beersheba, and this is the apartheid line. I think I see it. This is Road 40. No Bedouin will live western to this line. The only one that was before is Rahat here. But no new ones will be established here. And no one will be established here. And no one is here. Only in this very limited area. The calculations or the things that they took in their account was, the most important was to make borders and limits and no sequence between the Arab Bedouins in the south and Gaza and the West Bank. The West Bank must be here, and not in Gaza, and not to the Jordanian River here, the Jordan Valley, to be really isolated. In this way, only in this way, we can control the Bedouin, the 200,000 people. Here we are talking more about the land and everywhere. If you look at the Jewish regional council, you can see they are the vast majority of the land. And if you look at the Arab regional councils, the dark green one, 0. You can find it. This is the issue. It's not a very good map, but we can. So what was the impact? The impact of the Prawer plan is to destroy all the 36 unrecognized villages. What happened to the 10 villages? We talk about 36. They started recognizing 10 villages after our struggle and campaign and lobbying. They started. If you look at one of them, you wouldn't find any difference between them and those who are not recognized. The same process of more than 10 years now, and nothing changed. They built a school there and a road access to the village, not more. No development, no permission for building new houses, nothing new. It's the same. So we always count them with the unrecognized. Even that they announced as recognized, they have the symbol. They appear in the official map, the others don't. the whole Bedouin community in the unrecognized village will be disposed of them, their lands, from their ancestral lands, and be concentrated in the cities. The state will be willing to partially compensate the tribes. They want to compensate the tribes. If we look at the compensation, they are very ridiculous. We cannot compare them to the compensation given to the Jewish community from Gush Katif, the settlement of Gaza that they operated after the Sharon did a few years ago. Nothing to compare. Very ridiculous. I don't remember any family that could build their house with this compensation. This is the private plan map. You can see many uprooted, taking lands everywhere. All the X's here you can see villages that will be uprooted here, everywhere, and be moved to the area. So it's minimizing the area more and more. So if we talk about 5% a few minutes ago, it would be 2.5%. While we are talking about a large community that make up to 32% of the Naqab inhabited, of the Naqab people. The Bedouin are 32%, but they don't deserve, they are not entitled to live on more than 2%. This is the problem. This is the government. So, the Arab land issue is the same. I think we mentioned more of these. This is the hot story now that we are dealing with. Atir and Al-Hiran. Atir and Al-Hiran will be displaced. On the ruins of Al-Hiran will be built a Jewish Orthodox settlement, which will be called Hiran, the same name, without is mother, so they killed their mother. Al-Hiran will be Hiran. And instead of Atir will be displaced, and a big forest will be, they have a forest around them now, and it's running from all sides. Now they will swallow them and they will disappear. Instead of 28 million trees, they will have 29 million trees. But Atir will disappear. This is the most important thing. And the same with Al-Hiran. This is the most important issue. So this is the planning issue. To make the dispute on the land, on the court, the planning is one of the tools. As one of my friends said once, when a Jewish citizen hear about the planning, he is always happy. He says, oh my God, my government is planning for me, making new projects, it's good, he is happy. When we hear about the planning, we always scared because something have to fall upon our heads. It happens always. In the Arab, in the Galilee, and with the Palestinian Bedouins in the south. It happens always. Here is Atir. You can see a huge village with people that was moved to this area in 1956 by the government, by the state. Remember the uproot of the Bedouin, displacement of the Bedouin, the phase 1, when they displaced the people? They said, they have many reasons always, and executions. We need the place for the training of the army. We are in emergency situation. Remember 1956, all the people living under military rule. So nobody argue with the government, with the commanders. No government is commanders of the army. So they lived. They promised to live in this area, to be given this area, to cultivate, to do everything. They built their future. They built their life. They built their generation. Everything. They have their herds, their animals, their children, everything. Now they say, now we gave the land, but now we are going back. We will take it back. You have to move to Hura. Hura is one of the cities. Remember the 7 towns. Here is an aerial photo from the Google map. You can see this is Al-Hiran and this is Atir. This is a sub-local way a road that's called 316 that goes one on the right side and one on the left side of the road. Both of them now under imminent threat to be displaced. Now, this is our largest campaign that we are raising now after Prawer. You know, Prawer was frozen, but the government is running everything under the ground now, demolishing houses, pressing the people everywhere to make it possible. Here is the planning. You can see the planning. You can see the same pictures, the same photos that I showed you before. And here is Atir. This is Atir in the right side, and this is Hiran in the left side. But there is the plan. Here is the plan of Hiran, the Jewish Hiran. It will be up in the same place. The same place. Yeah, a bit larger. We are not disputing, arguing with the court if the people can emerge, can integrate, can stay in their place and be part of the new Hiran. And they said, no, we didn't think about that, really. So displacement is the solution. This is Hiran. This is Hiran. We saw Atir, now we see Hiran. This is another close-up a photo of the picture of the planning of Hiran. Hiran will be upon Hiran. The pink colors are the houses of Hiran, and this big plan of the Jewish Hiran. The same with this village. It will be swallowed by the trees here. More and more trees. 1 million trees can fit in this place. So we will enlarge the forest of Atir. What is the space response to the court? In any case, there is nothing wrong with planning a town to be built on land registered on the name of the state. And just as there are plans to build several towns to house the Bedouin, so there are plans to establish future towns to house the Jews. It's legal. The court says it's legal. The government says it's legal. The state says it's legal. So it's legal. We can legalize everything in Israel. What does the EU say? As you can see, they support our struggle everywhere. The most important, I think, is the last one here. In June 2012, the European Parliament resolution called upon Israel to halt, stop the implementation of the Prawer plan, to withdraw it, and have meaningful, this is I'm citing, conversation and dialogue with the local Bedouin communities. They never recognize the Bedouin as indigenous people. They never recognize us as native citizens. And all the way and the policy is colonialist policy, unfortunately. Welcome to Al-Sira. This is my village. As you can see, this is not an official sign that the government put. We don't appear in any official map. We don't have signs that shows the location of the villages. This is our sign. We put the sign by ourselves, as you can see, Al-Sira, in 3 languages. And here there is a line that you can read, maybe Jif can. It says called established in the Ottoman period. Yes, we remind them, those who deny our right. And the funniest one is this. You can find this in any sign in your road here in London. It's a bulldozer demolishing houses. This we put awesome. We love laughing about ourselves. It's okay. This is Al-Sira. These are houses of Al-Sira. And here is our deed, the deed that shows that we established, that we purchased this land in 23 of November, Tishrin al-Thani. Those who can read Arabic can see that very clear. In 1921. 27 years before the establishment of the State of Israel, we bought this piece of land with a British stamps. You know, 1917 we have the British mandate. So here is the signature of all the sheikhs. They have stamps Some of them have stamps. This one that hasn't stamped, so he stamped signed with his stamp, as you can see. And shows the money, everything, 150 golden pounds. I don't know what's that either. This is the money that my great-father paid for this piece of land. But it's not recognized. Israel never see that. This is my house. Some of you were there. I invite the rest to come and visit us. This is my wife, Mustafa, making our bed, and this is that troublemaker, Muhammad, is there. So, what does non-recognition mean? You may be asking yourself. As you can see, we exist in anywhere. Nobody nowhere is that. We can give you our address to visit us if you want. No address. Living always under the threat of demolitions. It's always right. We have no right to vote for local elections because we don't have local municipalities. But we pay all the taxes and getting nothing almost. They never ask us if we want to pay taxes for the government. They take everything automatically, as you know. Everything is automatically. They work with computers. No public transportation. Very high rates of infant mortality, 4 times more than the Jewish kids. Very few kindergartens, even that we have a compulsory and free education system. No running water in many villages, no connection to electricity grid, no daycares, no right for ownership in the land. An endless list of no's, but we have one good yes. A bulldozer. A bulldozer always present. Always can come very quickly. You can see here the graph of home demolitions. We have more than about 1,000, today is this maybe, about 800 demolitions a year. 800 families stay without roofs every year. And this is not only me. This is the NCF, the Negev Coexistence Forum, which is a grassroots organization of Jews and Arabs that work together. They monitor the demolitions every year. Some of them even are self-home demolitions. People are enough afraid and scared and always being threatened by the government that they will have to be charged of the destruction costs. And people sometimes are scared enough to demolish their houses themselves. And they refuse even to share this story with anybody. Here is one of the demolitions. I remember the family, when the kids came back from school, they found themselves, their house like this. So one of friends here asked me yesterday, they have a mental help or something like that. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The same government demolished houses, how can they come and make their relief or give them remedies? Nothing to do. If it doesn't help, we have this Plowed house fields of Bedouins that cultivated them, and the government don't want. They have a land dispute about that, so they come with their bulldozer and destroy their culture, their agriculture. If it doesn't help, we have this fences about places to recall them as or declare them as military area, forestation area, afforestation area, everything. We can find the reason. We are very creative in that. I'm talking as Israeli now. So, if it doesn't help, we have this, limiting the water access. You can just imagine that each one of these pipes, you can see, it is not for a single house as you have here in London. This for one big village sometimes, for 3,000 people, 2,000 people. My village is one of the smallest ones, 500 people. And we have one of this. It's less than 1 inch. If you have 1 inch, you are lucky. 1 inch for all the village. So the water quota is one of the weapons that we use there. This is not very good picture that you can see the village behind. These concrete fences here limits the access of the people to the main road. So if someone here, an emergency case, want to go to the hospital or to the clinic, they have to go round and round and round to access the main road here. And they ignore the villages. Nobody cares about it. I know about 150 students now that are not going to the school because they blocked the road there. They expanded one of the road 31, the closest one from my village. Here are the guys putting demolition orders in my house. This is one of the guards there, but there were about 20 down the stairs waiting for them, protecting the man who is putting the demolition orders. They put the demolition orders and they take pictures. It's not me. They film everything. They document everything. They are moving around all the villages, passing over the houses, house by house, all the way home, everybody. Only the kids are happy. Nobody knows what is that. So what happened with the Al-Sira? Al-Sira was one of the successful stories. We were accompanied from the first day in 2006 when they issued the demolition orders by Adalah. Adalah is the legal center for Arab minority rights, whom I'm working for now. And they was representing us, litigation for us in the court. And we succeeded to cancel the demolition order in 2011. But the government appealed to the district court. And there they were cancelled again in 2014. So now we are celebrating 1 year. No demolition orders in the village. And we started counting down, 44, 45, 44, 43, 45 days for their second appeal. They still have the High Court, but they didn't. So the decisions now are finally revoked by the district court. So what we do for that? As you can see, we unite and demonstrate, go to the streets everywhere. Here again, one in Beersheba, one in Jerusalem. Here is the troublemaker Muhammad. He grew out and demonstrated with me also. He have the stop problem, as you can see. This is our tent in front of the Knesset of the Israeli parliament. Yeah. I'm going very quickly, I know that. We're trying to interest the media, as you can see. Here is my friend Ibrahim Abu Afash meeting with the politicians. We are trying to do something to raise awareness. Here is me again meeting the Special Rapporteur, the previous one, for indigenous people rights, Professor James Anaya in Geneva. Is me with a previous also Walter Hafner, the previous ambassador of the Swiss government in Israel. And there's a big group of solidarity from Brussels that came biking and hiking for 5 days, visiting all the villages of the unrecognized villages, and they stay every year in Al-Sira. This is their fourth time. So many of them, but we can't count all of them. We're trying to strengthen the community. We are really sick of playing the role of the victim. We don't want. We want to do something for our community. So we established our daycares, our mosque. Here we can see the water pipes. We laid the water pipes by ourselves for 3 kilometers, about 2 miles. We have electricity of generators, and now we replace it with solar panels and so on. And this is one is a friendly bulldozer. You can see it's paving the roads. We have our dirt roads. It's not demolition in this case. And here you can see we replaced that. I started in 2003. It's a good story. We maybe talk about that later after the questions. It's a very funny story, but it's good, very successful. When I started in 2003, now all the village is green, and I'm really happy that we have that. And more, we go to the court, even that we don't believe and want to trust the Israeli court. We don't. We have mistrust really, because nobody succeeds. We partner with the organization, we create alternative plans and hand them to the government, but nobody deals with that. They always reject. The planning system is only good for the Jews. We are not part of it. And I sometimes say that it's secret, like our nuclear bombs there. And we come here and inform you of and others of the situation, which is very important for me. It works sometimes. How can you help? This is also important for us. So you can make this issue now. It's very, very important. And I noticed yesterday the networking that you are doing, which is really impressive, very, very good. I'm so proud of you. Bring this to the representative. Write to the Israeli embassy if you have the contact. Visit us. You are always welcome to visit us. Join our mailing list. We have mailing list in Adalah, and we have mailing list in the NCF, the Negev Coexistence Forum, which I'm volunteering for. And much more of that. I want to thank you very, very much.